Hello. I can't hear you.
Oh, how about
Oh, there
now?
you are.
How are you?
I got you. Doing well. How are you?
Okay. We may have a couple more. There should be a couple more people, but I moved it. But let's give them just a quick minute, and then we'll
Okay.
get started. Okay.
Yeah. When I look back for the invitation, I saw that I accepted an invitation for an interview with Trish Nash on Thursday. Well, that doesn't work.
I sent the wrong one out.
That's no problem. No problem.
How's your day been going?
You know, it's been kind of busy lately,
I can imagine.
but it's all good. I'm a real estate attorney in my real life, and it's a busy business right now.
Yes, it is. That's some of the stuff we're going to talk about. Well, I'm going to tell you what. I value your time. I did move this. I expect a couple people to jump on.
Okay.
But I'm going to kind of start off. You may have to reintroduce yourself when they come on if we have enough people. But tell me, we're going to start off by, I'm going to start off with saying again, Brian Harris, I appreciate you coming on this call. I have a group. The group is called the Independent Black Voters on Facebook. We're nonpartisan, which means that we don't look respectively on what party you are with. We look at let me see, admit. Okay. Let me see something. Admit. Jameen, did you just come on? And Stephanie?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I see Stephanie. So I was just getting started. We'll have a few more people come on, I believe.
Sure.
I wanted to thank Steve for coming on. I was just beginning to explain to him the Independent Black Voters was created here about 5 years ago or so. And the whole concept was we were tired of partisan politics. We were tired of one group that seems to ignore our community and the other one that makes promises to our community without seeing true change. Many times the things that the independent Black voter are looking for, we're looking for social justice, and we're looking for equality of opportunity, and we look at economics equality. And while we focus on our community, everything we discuss is probably prevalent in every community. So we take the time to find out from that perspective, because we are focusing on what's going on in the Black community, but we've also had some allegiances now with the Hispanic community. We're looking for people nonpartisan who think the same way, whether they're white, whether they're green, purple, whatever. The whole issues we find out is the bulk of what we're talking about are very similar. It's just certain issues that are completely prevalent to our group or some other groups. So I thank you for taking the time to get on here and talk to us, Steve, because I live in Henderson. And actually, Jameen, who just came on, he lives in Henderson, and he has a group called Black Henderson. Our goal is to be more of a voice in our community on what we want to see, because we want to see growth of the Black community in Henderson, where it seems like we're headed in the wrong direction. So without any further ado, Steve, I'm going to ask Jameen and I'm going to ask Stephanie to introduce themselves real quick. And then, Steve, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about why you're running for city council.
Okay, great.
Is it city council you're running for, or is it mayor? I can't remember.
No, city council.
Okay.
Hi, Steve. I'm Stephanie. I'm a travel agent. Love to help people get to their destination, groups, personal, business, whatever. So we're excited to hear what you have to say, young man.
Excellent. Good to meet you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Hey, how you doing, Steve? I'm Jameen Willis. I am a real estate agent and property manager. I also run a group called Black Henderson. And what Black Henderson does is we focus on commerce, entrepreneurship, providing entrepreneurship opportunities in the city of Henderson, and also community, providing for the needs in the community, whether that's politics, daycare, education, and things like that. So I'm interested in hearing about what you have to offer and what you have your platform to help provide for the needs for the people in the city of Henderson.
Excellent. Thank you, Jermaine. Well, let me tell you, my background is I was born here, born at Nellis Air Force Base, grew up in town, went to Chaparral High School and UNLV, graduated from UNLV a very long time ago, and moved to LA to go to UCLA Law School. I worked in LA for 4 years and then came back here in 1989 and have been here ever since as a practicing attorney. I'm a real estate attorney, business attorney, and have been doing that for the last 30 years here. I've done an awful lot of work in the city of Henderson, and that's how I've gotten to know the members of the city council and the city staff. I have the greatest respect for this city council. Before I ever considered doing this, I told anybody who would listen that I thought this was a bright shining moment in the city of Henderson, that real good could be accomplished because these are good people who want to do the right thing. And I believe that very much. I never intended to do anything like this. This is not, on my bucket list. I never intended to have a political career. This is way outside what I normally do, way outside my comfort zone, actually. But the mayor and Dan Shaw came to me about a little over a year ago and asked if I would consider doing this. If John Mars retired, they said, retired early, would you consider applying for that position? Because I think we have the votes to put you on the city council. And even at that, I said, I don't think so, but I'll think about it. And eventually I said, yeah, I think I would do that. And then John Mars obviously is not going to retire. He's going to be there until the end of his term. So I called back Councilman Shaw and I said, this is just not going to happen. I need to focus on other things. And thank you for thinking of me. And he said, well, I think you're right. So would you run? And I mean, it took me a while. I thought about it seriously. I said no originally, but we've lived in the city for the last 25 years. I've raised 2 daughters here. They went to Green Valley High School. They were involved in the Parks and Rec program. This has been a great place to raise my family. And I'm in a place in my career where I can pick and choose what projects I want to work on. And if there's something that is important to me, like the city, should I be elected, I've got the time to do that. And I've got now the support of the mayor and 3 out of the 4 on the city council. Michelle Romero is running for mayor, and so she's not endorsing anybody, but everybody else has endorsed me. And so I've got that support. I think I've got the experience and the knowledge from what I've done for the last 30 years to bring real value to the council. And it's an opportunity for me to give back to a city that's been very good to me and my family. And I think I can do some good. And that's the only reason that I'm doing this. I don't need to improve my resume. I'm not trying to build a second career here. I just think I can be of value and I can serve the people of the city of Henderson. So that's what I'm all about. I'm very much in favor of economic opportunity and creating opportunity for everyone. It's an interesting ward that I'm running in because we have Lake Las Vegas and we have good portions of Green Valley, but we also have Pittman, a community along Boulder Highway has been kind of forgotten, an older community, probably a middle class or lower middle class community and I want to make sure that as we look out for West Henderson and the growth that continues to happen there and all the new opportunities that are happening there, that we don't forget areas of the city that might not have been so advantaged in recent years. And so that will be a significant part of my focus. But overall, I think, it's just the city of Henderson has been a wonderful place for me and my family. I want to make sure that we continue on the path that we've been on. I want to make sure that we serve everyone. And I think I can be a great deal of help in doing that. So that's what I'm about. So, and I want to thank you for, I don't want this to come across the wrong way, but I've been out talking to a lot of people for the last more than a year. Every group that asked me to come meet with them, to speak with them, I've been there. And this is the first opportunity that I've had to discuss these issues with Black business leaders. And so what's important to me is that I'm available to listen, and I have the people that I can talk to that can share viewpoints with me that I'm not otherwise exposed to, that I might not think of, because, we're all in this together. And so, when you all reached out to me, I was very happy about it, because whether you endorse me or not, I hope you do, but either way, I want to be able to talk, and I want to be able to have the advantage of having your input and your knowledge and your life experience so that I can be a better councilman.
Well, first of all, great. And we thank you, Steve, for taking the time to get on this call and listen to us a little bit and us get a chance to know you. Now, if I'm correct, the city council is nonpartisan, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, that's what I thought there.
Yeah, I'm running for the open seat in Ward 3 because John Mars has decided not to run again. But even Ward 3, everybody in the city votes. And the primary is in June, and everybody votes in the primary. It's not like a Democrat primary and Republican primary. Everybody votes. It's nonpartisan. And if you get 50% plus one, it's all over. And if nobody gets 50% plus one, then the top two go on to November.
Exactly. And that's what a lot of people don't realize is the importance of the primaries, because many times the decisions are made at the primary. And if you're waiting for the general election, well, the horse is out the barn and running wild, and
right.
You never got a chance to at least make a difference or make your voice be heard. So that's one of the reasons we're trying to get out, is to educate and inform the people, and also to have a better understanding of the community. So I thank you very much for taking the time to listen to us.
And you're absolutely right. I mean, I think support at any time is appreciated. But I can tell you from personal experience that those who want to get involved earlier in the process, it's greatly appreciated.
Yeah.
So I agree.
Yeah. So Jameen and Stephanie, jump in with any questions. I want to say we are not your usual vetting process where we have standard questions we ask. We go by your answers, and we ask you, please don't give us canned answers. Please don't give us the answers you think we want to hear. Understand there are certain issues we want to talk about, and we're going to press you to be open and honest and speak what you believe, so that we can get a better understanding of who you are.
Yep. No, absolutely.
Okay. So I'm going to start off in asking you, can you give us an overview of the positions of the city council? What do they really do? And what do you think are the top three issues, or the top three issues that the city council you think focuses on?
Well, I mean, the city council is the governing body for the city. So anything of great significance requiring a decision by the city is either made by the city manager or the city council. So the ultimate decision-making authority in the city is the city council. Probably 75% of what the city council does is related to land use. And zoning and projects and all the kind of stuff that I've been doing for the last 30 years. The remainder, the city council is very important in attracting new opportunities and new business to the city, and creating the types of partnerships with private business that go along with creating opportunities where none might exist otherwise. So that's very important. And the city is responsible for keeping the lights on and the water flowing. So just professional, competent management of basic city functions is extremely important. And the city council is not involved in day-to-day decisions, but they are involved through the city manager's office of making policy decisions that affect all those things, having to do with water, and having to do with how does infrastructure get supplied to West Henderson as it grows, and how do we pay for that, and should we be paying for that? All those types of issues are coming before the city council. And one of the things that has made the city such a great place to live is that it's one of the safest cities in the country, that we have life safety services in the fire department that are second to none. And that's all a function of the support, I think, that those organizations receive from the city council, and the contracts that we have in place with those organizations, and them knowing that they have the support, that the city council has their back, that the city has their back, and is supportive of those services, I think is critically important. So, I mean, it is the policy making body and the ultimate decision maker for the major decisions in the city, and so is extremely important.
Okay. Okay, and that's great. So if you look at it, give me what you kind of land uses obviously, but I want to break down, what do you think are the three biggest issues that are facing Henderson at this time?
I think water is going to be a very large issue in our near and long-term future. You know, I think there are decisions that have to be made in terms of water use and in terms of what type of development or, you know, is permitted, and what type of, you know, there's a big discussion about whether it's appropriate to cool industrial buildings with evaporative cooling that uses water to cool rather than mechanical air conditioning. Those type that I think water and how we adjust to the new water reality is going to be extremely important. I think you know, growth and what the impact that growth has, both in terms of the positive impact it has on creating jobs and opportunity and housing, weighed against the negatives of traffic and the burdens that that growth places on city services, and how to pay for those city services has been and will continue to be a very important issue for the city going forward. I think education is a big issue for the entire county. And to be honest with you, I mean, I don't have a solution. I know that since I've been here and thinking about the issue, maybe since high school, I've always thought, well, you know, thank God that there's a Mississippi because we're not last, or thank God that there's a Guam because we're not last in the country in some category of education. And since I've been old enough to realize that that was an issue, nothing has changed. And here we are in 2022, and I'm a 60-something-year-old man, and nothing has changed in the quality of education here in the county. So I think that is a critical issue. I know that I think Michelle is supporting this idea of creating our own school district, and Dan Stewart, I know, is pushing it. I don't know that that's the right answer, but I know a good deal of thought and energy has to be devoted to finding a better solution than what we've seen so far. So I think those are big issues. I think maybe just throwing out, maybe doing a better job of creating the types of projects that the city has been involved in the past would be an excellent change, and would help the city make better use of its resources. I think, you know, some of the things that have been done in the recent past probably should have been structured differently. And if I had been on the city council, I think I could have helped do that quite a bit. So I think those are my priorities. I think, you know, continuing our quality of life in the city with our excellent Parks and Rec department, with the public safety services that we have, I think those are very important. But I don't know that there's a big issue there or something that needs to be fixed. This is something that we always have to keep in mind and make sure that we continue on the path that we've been on. So this is a good place for families.
Okay, great. So I asked you top three so I could see where you fit in some of the issues that we want to discuss here. And I agree, water is going to be an issue fundamentally across the board. And obviously growth is always something to talk about. So I look at those in education. Again, that's an issue we've been fighting forever. And if there was a quick fix, someone would have found it out. But I'm going to go down and take a step back and ask you, here's some things. Henderson, I've been here since we moved here as a family almost 20 years ago. And it's a great overall city to live in. But obviously, if you are a minority, specifically a Black person, there are concerns that directly relate to what we're seeing here. And basically, if you're a person, period, we're fortunate. I looked at the stats. Henderson has an average, I think the average income is $74,000, which is much higher than most areas. but also you look around, our housing medium index is around 400,000. So even if you're at the medium, it's very hard for the average person to buy and maintain a home in Henderson. So, as we grow, there's a belief that that the city of Henderson should not be the city just for the rich. It should be a city that is accommodating for the middle class, and even for those who don't have, who want to move themselves up economically in the future. And let's face it, there should be a place there. Through gentrification, through obviously this meteoric rise in housing values, the average person is being locked out, specifically the Black community. I think now we're probably 6 to 7% of the populace in Henderson, where we're probably closer to 10 to 11% across the board in Nevada. And much of that decline is based on economics. There are many keys, both of opportunities, of economics, and the cities are very important in creating economic opportunities for everyone. But disproportionately, I think, without even pulling the numbers, Black businesses are not getting a fair opportunity in Henderson for growth opportunities that may be through the city, that may be through county work, city works, through federal, or even others. When you look at just the opportunities, many times they're going to the same old people. And when you look at the people that are being utilized, they don't look like me. And that locks out the opportunity to have more people that look like me live in the city, which we were looking to see an increase of African American families that move in here. How do we basically, and this is long-winded, but what is your thing? How do we become more inclusive in opportunities as this growth happens, to make sure that there's a diverse opportunities of people, specifically who look like me, to have the opportunities to get into the bidding process, to go in and make sure that more people who look like me are working and hired, and even into the government, running in the government right now. If you look at what's going on, and I talked to one candidate, and a good example was the fire department and the police department, as far as their overall utilization of Black people having opportunities there. What's your thought there? That's a long question, so I'll sit back and let you answer and give me your thoughts.
That's a difficult and very important question. I have, first, to talk about the affordable housing issue. Yeah, I mean, I've got 2 young daughters who are both, one of them just bought a home, but only because we were able to allow her to live with us for several years while she and her husband saved money. And my other daughter is in graduate school, and I think by the, things continue as they are, I don't know how that she ever affords to buy a home. She wants to be a veterinarian. Veterinarians don't make a whole ton of money, and she's just quickly being outpaced by what's going on in the real estate market. I don't know how a young person starting out today, or someone who's trying to move up on the economic ladder today, ever gets on that merry-go-round. I mean, once you're in and your home is appreciating like everybody else's, all is good. But how you ever get on that without some assistance, I just don't know. So, I am a supporter of, I've got some developers that I have talked to that have projects that are a combination of market rate, affordable housing, and workforce housing, all in the same development project. I think that's a fantastic idea, and I would be all in favor of supporting that types of development whenever the city can support that type of development. I think that is an answer. As far as affordable housing, building equity in something that you own, I mean, I think that is an important part of the American dream. And I think that has to be, we have to figure out a way so that we don't have a whole generation of folks who just can never see their way to jumping on that, obtaining that American dream. And I've got the support of the home builders, and I had the opportunity to talk to them, and I think I've got some ears that matter. And I have started that conversation with them because there's been a revision of the Henderson Development Code in a way that makes a lot of what they do more expensive. And their response to me is, just when the city comes back to us and says we need more affordable housing, we're going to say, well, you just made everything we do more expensive, so you can't have it both ways. But I keep asking them every time I have an opportunity. I ask them, so how are we going to solve this problem? What are you doing? Are you talking to the city? What is the discussion? How are we going to get from here to there? And there's nothing going on. So one of the things that I'm going to do as soon as I'm on the city council is start that discussion. There are things that can be done that have been done in other places. There is inclusionary zoning that says, if you're building a project and you're getting entitlements for 100 homes, well, we need 10 of them to be affordable. That's something that can be examined. There's a public land trust where property that the city might own is made available for development, but on conditions for pricing that, if I'm buying a house and I'm somebody who needs to be supported to buy a house, well, I can buy it at a more affordable price. And then the city shares in that appreciation so that when I sell it, the city gets back a portion of that purchase price, a portion of that appreciation that goes back in the trust, and that can be used. I'm sorry, I'm getting another call that I figured out how to end. Let's see. End and accept. No, hold and accept. How do I do this? I don't want to end. I want to hold and accept. Jeez. Okay, I don't know what I do. I think that, and actually the county is considering doing that public land trust and has reached out to my law firm to see if we could help with that. So we're looking at how that works and how it's been done in other communities. So I think there are things that can be done. Yep. And the problem right now is everyone recognizes a problem, but nobody is working on a solution. And
can I jump in here? Because I love where you're going, but I like to give people a little answer because nobody seems to want to talk about this issue. Are you there? In the last, and I pulled up the data, 18 to 20% of all the products that are being sold are sold to investors. Investors are driving up the price of housing. If you have 18% being bought by investors, then there's a false supply and demand. Absolutely. They're buying up all of the supply, creating a false demand, driving up the product. In the last 2 years, housing has gone up 27%, which is unreasonable. The American dream was designed on the philosophy of people buying their homes, paying them off, creating generational wealth for their offsprings, but that is not happening now because we're treating the small business as a commodity, because investors they're coming in literally buying subdivisions and holding them hostage until they get the prices that they want. Yep. We need to, starting at the local level, going up to the state level and the federal level, to drive out these investors. Now, I got Jameen on here, who obviously is in real estate. I have you, who is in real estate. I have many of the politicians I talk to, they always give me a similar answer about land uses, and they give me another one. But the truth of the matter, the problem we have right now, it's a greed problem in which right now big business has no other place to put their money that they figure is as safe as buying homes and then driving up the cost of renting. So now I agree. I laugh because the American dream is to have an affordable rental, not to have an affordable house that appreciates at a regular basis, so that they're able to create generational wealth. So I was a lot in there, but I had to come in and I tell this to everyone. Do you agree with this? And are you willing to fight to help actually stabilize the housing community by driving out the investors?
I absolutely agree with that. And I remember reading the book, I think it was called The Big Short, on the last crash. And the guy who bet on the other side of the housing boom got the idea from going into a bar here in Las Vegas and talking to the bartender. And the bartender was upset because he had 2 vacancies in the 5 houses that he owned. And he thought, man, there's something wrong with this market. And that's how the whole, he put together the bet on that the market would crash and made billions. But it was, and now I think you're absolutely right. It's not that bartender who owns 5 houses. It's the institution. It's the BlackRock and the Blackstone and all the rest of them that are coming in and buying hundreds of homes at a time and pricing everybody else out of the market. And the other thing is there are these large developers of for rent single family homes. And so they are able to pay more for residential land than a normal home builder can, because they have a for rent product and they can justify a higher land price. And that's creating an artificial inflation too. So I am 110% supportive of what you're saying and figuring out a way that we can make sure that housing is available for people who want to buy a home and live in it and create that generational wealth, and prevent the institutions and the large developers of for rent product from driving up the price for everybody else. I couldn't agree more with that.
Great. Jermaine, give me your opinion, because you're a real good, huh?
One other thing I feel really strongly about too is and I don't know how you all feel about it, but the short-term rental. People who buy and then make their house into a hotel. I am a large opponent of that. And I think it's inconsistent with the residential community. And I think, I think that also is adding to the unnatural inflation in house prices. So that's something else. I think the city has done a good job in regulating that, but I would continue a strong opposition to making that any more accessible than it is right now.
Jermaine,
So
your
I have a
thoughts?
couple input on that. Well, I'm originally from Ohio, and things are a little bit different in Ohio. In Ohio, we had a thing where we had a tax abatement for homeowners, but here the taxes are so low, it's not comparable to other states. But
Right.
I think that if you, like you talked about the Patterson area, or areas that need development, if the city could come up with some type of grants or opportunities that makes it a little bit more affordable for the median income person looking to purchase a home in the city of Henderson, I think that would be advantageous or a great idea.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, it's a great need, but I don't have a 100% answer or solution for it myself. But if we could come up with something in terms of some type of grant or, something like that, I don't really see a lot of things except for, a welcome home or, home is possible or something like that. Other than that,
Right.
And that has implications on interest rates being higher if you take advantage of those programs. But yeah, as these prices, it's great if you own a home, but
Right.
as we see greater and greater appreciation, we're gonna be looking like the new Southern California here in a little bit.
And you keep thinking that it's going to adjust. I mean, the last time that it's been crazy like this, the bottom dropped out of the market, and then all of a sudden everything was affordable again.
And there, it's not happening because corporations can hold it. They have the kind of money, they're paying cash for it, they can
Right.
hold.
Right. Yeah. And what they're likely to do is, if the market does turn, they're going to dump everything, and then all this appreciation in equity is just going to go away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And-
No,
and
I agree. I think there's a lot of it that is people from other places are now finding this to be a very attractive community. But I think you're absolutely right that a good portion of it is coming in from institutional buyers of property for investment.
Absolutely. So again, that's one of the commitments. And again, this is not just an independent Black voter issue. This is an issue across the board for any young person, old person, etc., that housing is getting to get so ridiculous, it's pricing everybody out of the market. And so we definitely have to get a solution there.
I agree.
Let me go to I'll continue because I jumped in because I wanted to get to that one. Diversity, equity of opportunity. And I'll start off. If you look at what's going on, and I'm looking at the police force, I'm looking at the fire force, these are $1 million jobs now. They are literally $1 million jobs. Yet when you look at from a perspective of diversity, a lot of people want to call the word diversity because then you don't peel back the onion. If you look at the participation of folks who look like me, it's dismal in a lot of not just the fire, but probably in all of the government, where there are really a low amount of persons participating. Back in the past, when I was growing up, you wanted to be in corporate America because that's where you got paid. Now you want to be in government because that's where you get paid and you get the best benefits.
That's where
How
you
do
get
you go about seriously investing in the real diversity, which includes myself, people who look like me, I'm saying, to make sure that this city is friendly and inclusive to all? And I'm talking about the Hispanic community, and I'm talking about the white community, but I'm talking about the communities that are unrepresented or underrepresented right now in city government.
Well, I think it's important for your son and your daughter to look at those jobs and look at the fire department and look at the police department and see people who look like them. I think that's extremely important. And I don't, to be honest with you, it's a question that I should have asked, because I've talked to the firefighters, and I've talked informally with the police, and I don't know what the situation is with any kind of consideration of minority status in terms of hiring. But I think it's important. I mean, I think that those public jobs need to reflect the community. And if that requires that there be some preference given in the consideration of applicants, then that's what it requires. But I think that's important. And I have no issue with women-owned and minority-owned business programs. I think that is important as well. I mean, I had two different experiences when I went to law school. I had at UCLA, 40% of the student body was there on some type of alternative admissions program, either because of background or because of race or because of economic status or something. And so I had that experience at UCLA. And then I went back and got a tax degree at University of San Diego, which is a private school, and had no such programs. And I got, there were life experiences that were shared in the UCLA program that just didn't exist in the San Diego program. My San Diego school, my classes, every single one of them, everybody looked like me. And at UCLA, I had a class that looked like, when I went out into the city after school, they looked just like my class, and so, yeah, I mean, I think that's critically important. I think it's, like I say, I think it's important for kids growing up to look at those jobs and look at those people in government, and see a reflection of themselves.
I agree with you, and I'm going to make this statement: unless the city council is serious about diversity and inclusion, and not just talking about it, and I'm talking about real diversity and inclusion that includes us, because many times diversity and inclusion is used very loosely in their definition, then you will never see it happen. So,
and you think that's not the case, Sam?
Absolutely. And I'm going to give you, and I'm actually going to take a step back. One of the things that I really look at is systemic racism. A lot of people they look at racism, oh, he called me this, he called me that. Systemic racism is about economics, and it's about the quality of opportunity. Right. And many times systemic racism is putting in barriers of entry. Even if it be the opportunities in the marijuana industry, there were barriers that were put in that systemically kept the majority of Black people from the opportunities as they became legal, versus the fact that they were incarcerated as it was illegal. So once it became legal, the rules were designed to look fair, but to actually exclude. And I'm gonna use the fire department as one. We know, people who look like me know, that there have been rules of engagement, rules of qualification that are put in place so that certain people who apply will not meet that criteria, so they'll be put to the back of the bus, but everybody says it's transparency and, oh, everybody has an equal chance. And I'll give you, because I know a little bit about the fire department right now, some have put in requirements that you have to have what is it where you, the medical where you worked in, I'm trying to think of like an ambulance.
No, like
Huh?
paramedic, emergency medicine type
Yeah,
of thing?
you have to have a criteria there to be on the fire department. Well, when it was not $1 million job, that was not a requirement. But now they put that in. They may put on the fact that they give experience to people who have experience. And if you're live in a rural area and there's a volunteer fire department, it's set up so you can get your experience through that volunteer fire department, and you're put to the front of the line. Veterans are put to the front of the line. Many times the criteria is set so it is made to appear to be fair and equal, but when the points are done, and then if the people who are making the decisions don't look like you, then you look up, and that's why you have a small amount of people that make it as police, make it as fire people. And even in the basic government works, it has to be a significant commitment by our city council to say, we're going to look like our communities, and we're going to exceed it on the smaller ones and make sure that we are really inclusive. And that's what we need. And that's one of the reasons we included the independent Black voters into vetting and endorsing, because we want candidates who really understand that a strong community, a safe community, is really prevalent on making sure that everyone has the opportunity to succeed.
Now, I agree, but you raised the marijuana, and I know, or at least I've been told, that the mayor has not allowed any discussion of new licenses to move forward because she doesn't think that the state legislation requirement that applicants and licensees include a substantial portion of minority and women-owned businesses. And so until she sees that corrected, she's not allowing anything new to move forward. Is that, I mean, are you aware of that?
I'm glad you told me, because I'm not aware of everything. That's a good start. As a matter of fact, I have to give some kudos there, because that's what people have to basically make it a priority. And I'm going to state this too, and I have to state this. That's why I talk about systemic racism a lot on what we talk about. We don't just want white males to put white females into their positions of theirs and then turn around and say we have diversity. We have to make sure that our plans are not high level diversity where people say, okay, I'll cheat the system this way, but I'll put it from the left pocket to the right pocket, and everybody else is still excluded. It's very important that does not happen.
I understand. What is, and this might be a discussion for just a private lunch that you and I have, but what about the police department?
I'm, as a person who, as I said, I've been here 20 years. My sons have grown up here. I believe that the police are headed in the right direction, because when my sons were teenagers at Coronado, when they were at the junior high school, not Green Valley, but it might have been Green Valley Junior High School, they were at Coronado. They used to get escorted back by the police for driving while Black. As teenagers, I even sat there and watched the police pull them over for basically, because my son had an old school car and there was more than one Black young man in the car. And it just so happened I was sitting there at the stop and saw it all happen. So I believe that it is improving. And I think relationships with the police will improve when they understand that we want safe communities, but we don't want to be over policed. We don't want to be walking while Black. We don't want to be driving while Black. We don't want to be this, pulled over. If I'm pulled over for a light, then then you must be doing something wrong. So I think that they're headed in the right direction, but I think we have to work more on communicating both ways, especially to the police, that Black people want secure, safe places. They just want to be treated equally and not treated as a perp or a criminal, and then having to justify they're okay. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. And I'm not going to use names but I had meetings with some of the police folks, and in 2 meetings, I think they told me 4 times that the police chief was Black. it was weird. And then just spontaneously, with it didn't really fit into the conversation. They shared that, there's no racism in Clark County. And I thought, I kicked myself afterwards, to tell you the truth, because I didn't challenge them on that and say, but it was really uncomfortable. And I thought, man, I wonder, is this an indication that there are issues here? So yeah, I mean, that you don't have to comment on that. It's just something that really struck me as, this is really uncomfortable that they're talking to me like this.
Yeah. Just because President Obama became president did not mean that there was no racism in America. And I'll leave it that way.
That's true.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is we are getting better. The more we are willing to openly discuss, I think the more we find out we are more alike than different. And just because you put at the head of somebody who looks like me, if the rest of the body doesn't, then all you're doing is putting a nice face on the problem and say, now it's taken care of. Because no, we are headed in the right direction, but we have a long way to do. And a lot of it comes with making a defined choice to diversify your police forces and your fire forces so that people get to experience other people and start to realize we're all the same with the same desires. And then you start to maybe address some of the underlying problems that we see.
Yeah, I mean, that's so important. And I speak from my heart when I say, whether you endorse me or not, this is a dialogue. Hopefully you'll be a resource. If I'm lucky enough to be on the city council, this is a dialogue that I want to make sure continues.
Great. I'm going to ask Jermaine to jump in and give me his opinions on something, because we partnered, the Independent Black Voters specifically reached out to Jermaine's group, the Black Henderson, because again, I live there. I've joined his group, but I believe we have been voiceless in Henderson. Yeah. And one of the things we want to do is create positive dialogue, which will result in improved I'm going to say relationships, and also hopefully it will drive more people that look like us to move to Henderson.
Yeah, so I would be interested in hearing if you already have some ideas in mind, or maybe if there's some, some input or things that I could contribute. One of the issues that we have is it is a challenge for our small business owners to go from being a small business owner where it's just one person to scaling or growing a business to hire employees. We all know that Las Vegas and Henderson is a very entrepreneur business friendly city. But when you think about small business, that could be 500 employees. You know what I mean? So,
I know.
So those are some of the issues that we have is, like I said, coming from another state, Las Vegas and Henderson is relatively a new city from a real estate standpoint. Old is 1990 out here, and I'm used to 1900 in Ohio. As far as housing. So, one of the issues that we have is a lot of entrepreneurs in the city of Henderson, especially my entrepreneurs that are part of my group, is we're looking for programs. We're looking for opportunities. We're looking for ways to expand our business and, going from being what we would consider a mom and pop, one person, one man gang, to really growing and scaling and hiring people. So, like I said before, it could be just for a lack of knowledge standpoint, but I don't really see a lot of programs or courses or small business development going on in the city of Henderson, because I think that if you start to look at some of the things that we've done in the past and some of the things that we're planning to do this year, we really have a presence in the city of Henderson, and we really make a difference in terms of, economics of supporting businesses out here, our tax dollars and things like that. So That's one of our greatest needs is, to scale and provide further opportunities for our business owners in the city of Henderson. Do you have any, ideas or something that you already
Well,
had?
Jermaine,
Yeah.
have you done anything with the Henderson Chamber?
I just recently joined the Henderson Chamber of Commerce. I did do that. So that's, something new that we started.
They specifically just starting an incubator program for new businesses that are that need space and are looking for mentorship and how to grow the business. So I know, at least at the the private level, I know the Henderson Chamber is all about doing that and have programs in place to do that. So at the first place I recommend anybody in that position start would be with the chamber, because they have that's one of their focuses. So I would recommend that. And then, as far as what the city, I don't know what the city does, to be honest with you, what programs the city has. But I can certainly look into it and get back to you. But I can put you in touch with the right folks at the Henderson Chamber too.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay.
because I think there's some opportunities to do something there. And I started this firm in 2004, and I know it was scary to do, and didn't know how long it was going to be until we had money coming in, and didn't know how to, what do you have to do to make payroll, and what do you do with ADP, and what is ADP, and how do it, I know all those questions because we did it. And I it's a tough thing to start, and I will, send me your contact information and I'll get you in touch with the right folks at the chamber.
Yeah.
Okay. And my second thing was, I think that it's a real issue, and I think it does a huge disservice from the city council meetings to school board meetings. A lot of the information, like the meetings that they have, are right smack in the middle of the day, where the average person that have a full-time job or they have kids can't make the meetings. So then they don't have the information, and then they can't take advantage of whatever the situation is, or having a voice. I was speaking to my wife about that, about like some of the school meetings. They're in the worst times, where people who work a full-time job can't even make it to the meeting.
You think there's a reason for that? I mean, it's yeah, they know when they set the schedule what that does to folks who want to attend. And I mean, the city council meetings used to be in the evening, and it got moved just within the last year or two, and I think because of COVID and everything was online. But now we're meeting in person, but they're continuing. It's 4 o'clock, and usually, unless there's an unusual agenda, by the time that somebody who works a 9-to-5 job could get there, it's all over.
Right, exactly.
And
I think that's something that should be brought up, and I think that you would have a huge backing, because I mean, a self-employed person like me, a realtor can attend, but somebody who gets off at 6 o'clock, or something like that, or even it's not even a chance. So there may be a great opportunity for a person to have input or to know about something that's going on, but they don't even have the opportunity to come to the meeting to know about it. I think that's a huge issue.
Yeah. And I mean, the good thing is everything's now online. So you can watch without being there, but still, starting at 4 o'clock doesn't really encourage public participation.
Absolutely. See, first of all, I want to thank both of y'all. We're getting close to an hour, and I try to have my initial ones to an hour, but Steve, we're going to have a second call. We're going to probably do an in-person. I'm going to talk to Jameen. We want to get a location and actually have people in to do a secondary in-person interviews. So, but I want to ask you again before we go away, homelessness. Obviously, Vegas has the biggest issue, but homelessness. But we know that Henderson has a problem. It's just not discussed as much. But as gentrification continues, as the rise of the cost of houses, along with inflation and etc., this is going to get worse way before it gets better. We say this: 40% of the homeless are African American. And while some of the issues are drug related, some of them are mental illness related, many of the problems are economic related, because many of the people are now having to choose between keeping a roof over their head or putting food in their mouths. And many of the issues that are related to drugs are hopelessness. Many of them who are mental are the same way. It still goes back to economics. What do you think is the city's role in basically being proactive to deal with this tsunami that's coming to every city in America? But tell me what you think about Henderson's.
Well, I support, there's a local charity called Hopelink that I support. I met with them and I've made donations to them. And I just was a sponsor of the fundraiser that they just had last Friday. And they serve the homeless community. That's what they're all about. And they told me, which I didn't know, that without a facility in Henderson to help the homeless, there's not really much that the city can do. So, I mean, I guess, first of all, I'm in favor of making a group like Hopelink more visible and encouraging support for the private efforts that exist. But I also think that there has to be some community support, some city support for actually creating an infrastructure to serve that community, because it's going to be growing. I absolutely agree. I mean, when people can't afford a place to live, I don't know what you do. So I recognize that it's a problem. I think the city has a role to play that it has not been playing. And I also think that the very good people at places like Hopelink need to be supported and encouraged. But I can see it coming just like you can.
Okay. Well, great. We're at about our hour. Man, that time went fast. I guess we're having a good conversation.
I cannot believe it's 5 o'clock.
Yeah. So I thank you for, this is part one. We're gonna, obviously, I'm going to talk to you, Jameen, because we really want to, in this part, engage Black Henderson along with our counterparts in the Hispanic community and in the white community who identify as nonpartisan, who identify that they don't like the directions of the parties, and they want a voice that specifically talks about the issues that helps all communities. So we thank you for coming on here, and in our first step of vetting you. We look forward to creating relationships. Whether we endorse you or not, we still we want to create positive relations one way or the other.
I agree.
So Jermaine, I'm gonna let you say something real quick, and then Steve, I'm gonna let you take us home and tell us a little bit of why we need to consider endorsing you for city council.
Oh, excuse me. So, yeah, I just want to thank you for taking the time out to, one, introduce yourself, let us know about some of the main things that you are going to tackle should you be elected. And I'm interested, because you have a real estate background, with having further conversation on how we can work together to provide some solutions for the city of Henderson, for minorities, and also just for us to further strengthen our voice in the city of Henderson with the independent Black voters, with Black Henderson. I have some ideas myself, but they only go so far without the right connection. So I would definitely be interested in having, further conversations with you, especially on this platform and in the future.
Yeah, I'd love to do that, Jermaine. Just let me know. I mean, to end this conversation, I can tell you that the only reason that I'm doing this is because I think I can do good on the city council. That's the only reason that I'm here. I've kind of had my career. I don't need the resume. I don't need, the only reason that I'm here is that I think I can serve the city that has been so good to me and to my family. So I think I've got the experience to make a difference. I think because of what I do, I have access to raising a lot of money. So I think I can be successful, and I've been endorsed by the city council, basically. So I think I have a good shot of being there. And I'm about as nonpartisan as it gets. I'm about finding solutions. That's what I enjoy about my chosen career is that I can help find solutions and put puzzles together and hopefully solve problems for both sides of an equation. And that's what I hope to do on the city council. And again, I think what you're doing is so important because, like I said when we started, I've been doing this for a year and a half. And this is the first, and part of the blame I accept because I have not reached out. I could have done that. But in all the groups that I've talked to and all the, the meetings that I've been at, et cetera, this is the first real input I've had from the Black community. So I appreciate what you're doing. And I look forward to the next discussion.
Thank you. Again, this is the Independent Black Voters along with Black Henderson, and we thank you because our vote is not free. And this year, we want candidates that understand what are the issues that the community wants, both our community and all communities. How do we create a better system of social justice, economic opportunity, and economical equality, not just for our community, but for all. So we thank you again, Steve. We look forward to continue our vetting process with you. And we're at our hour. I don't want to go any further, and I'll look forward to having further discussions in the future. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I look forward to it.
Okay, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.